Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Thursday. As I like to say, happy Friday Eve. Friday Eve. All right. We got some topics, of course. We got some topics. While I'm looking at everything, I always got to do a sound check. Make sure y'all can hear me. Because the last thing I need to be is muted. And that's bad. Okay. I get myself pretty good. And then disclaimer. Then we can get started. Don't even need to take long. Watch that catches up. Disclaimer. The videos presented here are for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend an institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of Creator, Henry is only speaking from his experience. Only speaking from experience. So, my little book. The little topics I could get today in the span of today is first, Iowa Republicans are pushing an aggressive agenda. Word out there on the campus. They're pushing a very aggressive agenda. And let me go. Okay, that's good. Nice to give me a notification. That's new. I'm glad I'm figuring this out as I go. So I found this in this is found by the Chronicle. This was written by the Chronicle Higher Education. And so it's a few things, but we're going to focus on community college 4-year degrees or community college bachelor degrees and tuition freeze. But within this, let me make sure I don't knock off my headset. Within this, though, it states that Iowa Republicans are pushing an aggressive agenda to revamp public and private colleges. And then it says more than 20 bills have been introduced this month. And that was the Chronicles Aisha by I'm butchering that name bad, but we're gonna say Aisha. So among the 20 bills that was introduced in Iowa, I'm gonna just name them. But like I said, the two we're gonna focus on would be community college bachelor degrees and tuition freeze. As they said, tuition guarantee. So you got community college bachelor degrees, public university governance overhaul, civics at public colleges, civics at private colleges, state endowment tax, tuition guarantee, and more. Now, mouse store. But more on that. Would they I wonder in that report, will it show all the bills? Let me see. No, it doesn't show all the bills that's been introduced. More just telling us, which is okay. So I already have it pulled up. The first one, which I'm about to show you all. Let me do a screen share. No, it's this one. Just in case we need sound. I don't think we need sound. I'm muting it. So right. Oh, y'all can't see it. Okay. Now y'all should be able to see it now. So this was written by Lee Gardner. Yes. Why states private colleges are feuding with its community colleges. I found it a little interesting. I read the whole thing before getting on the live stream, so I'm not looking totally confused on the situation. But the situation kind of made sense because, for one, I don't know anything. I don't know. I won't say anything. I don't know a lot about the Iowa area, and so I know we reviewed Iowa, the school. I think it's Iowa. If you say it too many times, you're gonna be able to say it. Iowa. I believe we reviewed their university where I think Caitlin Clark went. Review the prices. It's a pretty good institution, but it was, I guess the price was a little absurd compared to their community college. Community college actually, because actually we reviewed the community college there, in fact. And then we want to see like if you bridged over to that university, how that would look. So just to give a recap before we even go into detail, because they got some good stuff in here that's going to lead to some other articles. It's pretty much talking about, once again, community colleges offering bachelors. So there's already some colleges that offer some community colleges. They will be known as state colleges. They just transition to state that have like very good affordable prices, and they're a state college. And so, but they offer like 2-year degrees mostly, and they have a few bachelor degrees. Some state schools do that. I actually don't see no problem with them. It's just they're just not as strong as I guess you would say, a university, because most of those schools are like not heavily research schools. So if you go to a state college like that, usually there's going to be more practicum versus research. Usually. So as we see here, we always read the introduction. Two forces help define the higher education landscape today: the drive by states to fill their workforce needs and the effort to coax a limited number of students to enroll. Those two forces are colliding noisily in Iowa. So Chronicle actually been saying that Iowa is the state to watch. That's what they're saying. That's what Iowa is saying. Not Iowa. Chronicle is a higher education. They're saying Iowa is going to be the state to watch this year because they have a lot of Republicans, as we said before, trying to make change to the higher ed. And then I saw something actually by Shio. I got that pulled up as well in another tab, that Shio was reinforcing about the economic workforce. So pretty much the workforce and economics, and the reason why we need to fill our workforce. And when they say workforce, I am curious to know, because we went through that before, but I'm curious to know if they're trying to push more of the trades, because they actually mentioned, I don't know if it was Chronicles or Shio, and they was mentioning that usually when you have Republicans, they want to build the workforce. Usually Republicans and Democrats, I guess, is more liberal arts, catering to white collar jobs and things of that nature. And it's interesting because if you look at the Trump administration now, they are actually pushing, like we said, HVAC, those technical study skills, workforce manufacturing, building from inside of the United States. So it is interesting, actually. That caught my eye because I was like, interesting, right? So as we keep going, we get right here. These two forces are colliding noisily in Iowa over a new proposal to allow the state's community colleges to offer bachelor's degrees, an effort that private colleges see as putting them at a competitive disadvantage. Private colleges see this as a competitive disadvantage. Like I said, private colleges, that really like was my most wrong thing I said back in 2025. Because I really thought private colleges were going to be the safe route. Like I was applying to private colleges. I was just trying to make sure when I was pivoting toward another job that it wouldn't be affected by the Trump administration. So I don't be laid off or get laid off. But private colleges are getting it just as bad right now. Something that most people are not talking about: private universities or private colleges, I'm gonna say universities mostly, are losing their, I guess you could say, credibility. Not at the elite institutions, but definitely just those private colleges that are around and you see them, they are on the ropes a little bit. So right here it says Taylor R. Collins, a Republican state representative, has introduced legislation that will allow public two-year institutions to develop bachelorette programs to address high demand, sustained, and unmet workforce needs in their regions. So, and they actually say this at the end. So this is the bill, which is pretty cool. That a lot of bills nowadays you can see them like it was introduced on January 13th. Now it's in committee. Then when it gets crossed over, it's gonna get passed. Then when it's passed, it's dead. I wonder why they put dead. Because on Congress.gov, I believe it's Congress.gov, they have it set up just like this, but it doesn't have that on there. So as we see, higher education are the sponsors. Then we can read the bill. It got all the good fancy things in here we need to know. But if that gets passed, and this is strictly in Iowa. Strictly in Iowa. Right? Let me see. Oh, I don't see Iowa name, but it says bill track. Let's click that and see what it does. The bill track, federal bills. I might just find me a new website, y'all. Huh, interesting. I think it's not free though. But it's introduced and it's with the committee. But it says what it would do, it will allow public two-year institutions to develop bachelorette programs to address high demand, sustain, as we read that before. A separate proposal from the colleges asked for $20 million over 5 years to help them start such programs. Nearly half of the states allow their community colleges to offer 4-year degrees. I thought that was interesting. It said nearly half of states allow their community colleges to offer 4-year degrees. Because it's already a thing, but some states are not, how can you say, doing it. Some states are not doing it. That's why it didn't surprise me. I'm like, But we actually spoke on this before. We're just resurfacing because they actually said in the question, if you see, they try to do this at the executive level to make this like a whole, like all states need to do this. But they was like, the Chronicle was like, if you don't see it happen at the executive level, pretty much the executive level, Fed level, then it's going to happen in certain parts of the states who actually think that was a good idea. So I'm looking right now in January 2024, the Community College Bachelor Association. What website we on? CCB National Program List, but the CCBA. So the Community College Bachelorette Association presented results of the second national inventory of CCB degree programs, updating from November 2021, which includes a national count of community college bachelor degree programs by state, institution, and program. A study using 2 and 6 digit classification for instructional programs, CIP, from iPads, our favorite little website, most credible. This database includes public community colleges identified by basic Carnage classification of bachelorette/associate, dominant or mixed bachelorette/associates. Fancy wordplay. So if I click on Georgia, what happens? Because I'm in the Georgia state. Let me see what happens. Program name. I never heard of that. Agribusiness. Oh, that's at Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College. Bachelor of Science. So it sounds like agricultural business. Then what else they got? Same school. So I believe these are all supposed to be, as I figured, these are all like, because I recognize some of these schools, like Atlanta Metropolitan State College offers a bachelor's. And Atlanta Metropolitan State College used to be, it was founded as a community college, if I'm not mistaken. And then you got biological sciences at South Georgia State College. As I said, those state colleges, they just probably won't be heavily research grown because depending if they have doctoral professors or is it a research institution. So let's click on another state because that's the state I'm in. Let's click Texas, see what Texas look like. It's interesting. So they have Houston Community College. but they offer a Bachelor of Applied Technology. Houston Community College offers a bachelor's. What is it? Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. They got program name right here. This is another school, Odessa College. I never heard of Odessa College. But as you can see, it's not a university, it's a college, probably like a state college, but it offers what? A Bachelor of Applied Arts and Science. And if we look it up, because I'm not from the Texas area. So if you're from the Texas area, you probably already know this. Odessa College, Odessa, Texas. And you know what I like to do? I like to go on their website. I like to go see the school website. Never heard of Odessa. So many colleges in the world. So many. So now we want to go see their programs. What do they offer? They got bachelor degrees. But if you really want to know if it's because it's Odessa College, if you really want to know if it's like a state college or was a community college before, just look at the prices on the sidebar. Let me see. Use that already up there. Use that magnifying glass. Tuition and fees. Oh, right there, my keywords. Tuition and fees. So right here they are 336 per credit hour, I believe. I don't even think that's wrong credit hour because it says if you do a full time, look like if you have 12 semester hours, that's $13.34, which is very affordable. Let's make sure they're not on a quarter system. How do we know that? I'm gonna go to their programs. If I was a student, let's keep it that's actually helpful. I just do bachelor degrees. But actually, I wonder if we would have clicked on the other ones. Let me see something. Now they got me wondering. Now I'm gonna just keep going with bachelors. Then now if I click on bachelors, automation, criminal justice is a very general major. Let's do criminal justice. They got some of these people names, the professors. I want to see the program, degree plans. Look at that. Just showing you all this stuff going on, researching in school. That was not the program. And degree plan, that was not the degree plan. Huh. I want to see if I clicked on that. You didn't take me degrees. You took me back to the same thing, but I want to see. Okay, they have the 2 years right here. There you go. I was wondering where it was. Oh, schools know they make it hard to find what you want to look for sometimes. All right, so they have the 2-year pathways. If you get your 2-year here, they have what, as we said before, the bachelor opportunities. Even though the bachelor pathway, so they only have a few pathways from 2-year to 4-year, it looks like. So I should be able to get my 2-year degree in. I don't see criminal justice as a 2-year. I see it at the top though. Okay, they do 3 credit hours. That's also what I was looking for. So yeah, if you do 3, because I should have it pulled up. Yeah, if you do 3, just using this as an example right quick. That's 7 credit hours, 9, 10, 11. Then if you get 11, that's 14. If you do 14 credit hours, I'm assuming that's how much you're looking at for a semester. And then you just multiply by 2 for 2 semesters. That's very good. This is why I say, like, we did not, I don't want to say Georgia didn't have no colleges with these prices, but these are very good prices. Like, The fact that they even have the out of district resident, their price is not even too far off. Cause that gotta be $1,568 for a semester. But it says 2025, 2026. Those are great prices. And this must be they out of state. Okay, that was out of district, out of state. See, no, I'm not from the Texas area. It still don't look that much more expensive though, which is interesting to me. All right. But you see they have 2-year opportunities as well. Whichever I have found that at. But they have 2-year opportunities, and then they have the 4-year. And that's in Texas. Going back to that, I want to do one more state real quick. Let's do one more. Let me scroll and see if I see another school. Well, I see other schools, but yep. Alvin Community College, a Bachelor of Applied Science. Now let's do one more. Somewhere on the west. Let's go California. Oh, it's loading. Just basic research. Just basic research. Everything's on the internet. Everything's on the internet. So then it says right here, what school? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm gonna skip that school. The College of the Canyons. They have a Bachelor of Applied Science. I'm gonna skip that one too. Rio Hondo College, Bachelor of Science. That's an automotive. You can get your automotive bachelor's degree. Did y'all know that? That's interesting. I never seen an actual program literally named automotive technology. That's usually I know you can get that associate. You can get your associate's degree in that for sure. But bachelor's, I didn't know that. Makes sense because you can run a business in it. Aviation maintenance. I want to find another one that say community college. But as you can see, these are colleges. They're not saying university, they're saying college. That's a clear indicator. Solano Community College. They offer a Bachelor of Science. Because I'm pretty sure if you go to this school, I'm gonna look them up. If you go to their school, I'm pretty sure you can get a 2-year degree in this as well. So you can probably get your, I'm assuming right now before I check, I'm assuming you can get a 2-year here and then bridge over and get your 4-year degree there. Oops. So Solano Community College, as I said before, I believe in California they offer free college for community colleges, I believe. Going to their website, because I always gotta go to the website. That keeps us engaged. Excuse me. And so Solano Community College. As I always do, tuition and fees first. So you can see how great their prices are. Same thing. Look, they set theirs up pretty simple. I forgot California does theirs in units. They make it very hard for me to comprehend sometimes. If I get a chart, I'll be getting saved. But California. So right here, they have an enrollment fee. Their bachelor's tuition fees is 84 a unit, which is similar to a credit hour. I believe it's the exact same thing. They just call it units. I wish it was a universal term. Can we please get that going? Department of Education or somebody, can we please get 84 per credit hour? Just make it a universal term because states do it different. So bachelor tuition fees, parking debt. Oh my goodness, $406 per credit hour or per unit. If you are a non-resident, this is why I always say be a resident. But they mentioning, so they said 84 in addition to the regular 46. So they must charge enrollment fee. Oh yeah, because like when you get enrolled, because like I said, community colleges don't charge you. Because I don't have no California people in here. So let me see real quick. California Community College is free. Basically, AI overview should be able to tell us. California Community College can be free for many, but it is not universally free for everyone. It says right here in a general AI overview, the California College Promise Program covers tuition for the first 2 years for first-time full-time students who are California residents. So usually that's what I'll be talking about. As you can see here, they don't have a 2-year college rate. As you can see, they said they do when you go for your bachelor's, but the first 2 years is on us if you're a California resident, which is very good, which makes it even more possible because if that's 84 plus 46, where my phone at? It's only like 100 or something. What's that? Well, let's see. Yeah, it's only $130 per unit per credit hour, which would generally, if you take 12 credit hours, that's like $1,560 per semester. But we got to check our math. Can you see that? We got to check our math right quick. We got to check it real quick. So now I want to find me a chart, because if I find a chart, they usually have a chart like we just seen on the last one to show us what we're looking at when we're enrolled in a certain amount of credit hours. But if they don't, it's okay, I guess. Let me see. No, it's the same thing. I don't see a chart. Because I remember one time back like years ago, I called and reached out to a California school to ask them and clarify, like, hey, is this calculated like this? And they confirmed it. I was like, those are very good prices. So I'm going to go to their programs. Obviously, I want to see if y'all are offering, like we said, those 2-year degrees to 4-year. I always go to academic program. And plus, you're learning how to research a college. You'll be surprised. It's very difficult for a lot of people to know how to research a college or research a college on the website if they never done it or their first time, or even if they've been in school, they just don't know, which is typically okay. So I like to keep it simple. I know like generally accounting doesn't have a competitive program unless you're trying to go like grad school or something. But okay, let's see. Does it have a credit hour on there? And it doesn't. Not showing the credit hour. Let's see right here. So right here it tells us it's an associate's degree. They got certificates, of course. And then what bachelors are we offering at this school, though? That's the next question now. Since we clicked on that, academic programs, where are the bachelors? It should be over here to the side. So if we do bachelor, y'all see that? Oh, I was about to say, wait, it's not working. So the only bachelors they offer is biomanufacturing. And if we go back over here, what we see, biomanufacturing. And if we scroll down, yep, that's the only thing they offer at that state school. Because that's why they said here, I just want to do one more. As they say here, that's why some colleges, they said separate proposal from the colleges asking for $20 million. It costs money for them to add programs, professors, might need a lab, might need some other money they just need to use and stuff. So it's very important that we see like just like how credible that was, because we literally just researched the school ourselves. We fact checked the CCB because that's actually what they said. They only offer this one major program. So if you went to that school, you would have to hope, like not hope, no, like I want to go to this university or this state college. Do they offer my major? So you can know that in advance, because if not, you're going to be transferring because they are community college. No, it's not them. That's not them either. We got multiple schools that offer it. I done lost my school that quick, but y'all saw the school, Solano. Now, as I kept going through it, it was saying that the states, as right here, the state's private colleges, however, see the proposal as an essential threat in addition to the 3 4-year public universities and 15 community colleges. This was a little bit of jargon. Wasn't really, I would say, until it got right here, because they quoted this. He said, I hate to be hyperbolic about it, but I quote, I hate to be hyperbolic about it, but it is, in my view, the destruction of free enterprise. I didn't know what that means exactly because it said free enterprise. And then this was by Gary, if I say his last name right, Gary Stink. And so pretty much the state's community colleges and private colleges educated similar numbers of full-time degree-seeking students. And when they say full-time degree-seeking students, that means you have to be enrolled full-time. And that's why sometimes I get upset when people talk about higher education on their YouTube channels. And they so-called break down data. You have to factor in if there's full-time, part-time students, part-time students, less than this many credit hours of students. It's like the data is really from grad school. The data is it's broken down, like really broken down. And so they're saying full-time degree seekers. So they're not worrying about, or they're not claiming like part-time degree seeking. They're saying full-time degree seeking students in 2024. According to the federal data, a new state-approved and subsidized internal competitor for students seeking a bachelor's degree is more than just an inconvenience, Gary Stink said. Then we went to the quotation, but Gary, who is Gary? Let's see who Gary is. Close that out. Close that out. We got our point across with that. Who's Gary, though? Let's see. So this is Gary. Probably not a popular person. Should I have put the... Probably should have. Let's see. Is Gary... He's the president of the Iowa Association of Independent Colleges and Universities. And the association, we have an independent colleges and universities almost for, I believe, every state. Everything has a state because it's layered. Like, really, I think in I ain't gonna lie though, in graduate school, we definitely should have took more. I'm not gonna lie, a little more political science classes because a lot of this intertwines with everything with politics and political science. I took a good few of those in undergraduate, but it seems like we have a state for everything. Like literally, like it starts from local, state, and executive as it works its way up. But he is, and they didn't take me to him, so he's not that popular to be Google searching, as we saw. And then it said the legislation derives from a study commissioned by Collins last year. Where we at 32? Okay. Last year to assess the feasibility and impacts of community colleges offering bachelor degrees. Community Colleges for Iowa, a nonprofit advocacy group, conducted the study and delivered recommendations to the legislature this past fall among the findings. And then it goes into like some bullet points. You know, you can pause there and go back if you want. It's kind of just same thing. Once again, like I said, jargon, rinse and repeating what we said. And then they talk about how like some of these state schools, like, where is it? It said right here that the study found that 11 of the community colleges were located more than 30-mile drive from the public four-year university. And 5 of the colleges were located more than 30-mile. 5 other colleges were located more than a 30-mile drive from either a public or private four-year institution. That's like an ongoing problem with colleges. They build them in places. I guess they can only put the land because if somebody owns the land, you can't really just take their land. In some cases, right? You can, but only under military reasons, as far as I know. But they built the colleges very far from like the universities. And then they actually mention, which is a very high statistic, it's a high number usually. I believe the clearinghouse has that data, if I'm not mistaken, that when students usually go to a 2-year college and they get their associate's degree, they say a high number of them, high percentage, do not go get their bachelor's. It's a multitude of reasons. Like usually, you know, they say financials, they say locations, they say the transfer process is complicated, so they just gave up and just stuck with the associate's degree. It's so many reasons why people don't transfer to go get their bachelor's. And then now they're trying to figure out, that's why they're kind of like, that's why they're trying to make the 2-year colleges offer a bachelor's. So essentially you can, because community colleges are intended to serve the community. Same thing for universities. When you go to a college, they expect you to stay there in the like that city. Like if you went, like for me, I went to Valdosta State University. When I went to Valdosta State University and got my bachelor's, they were intending for me after I graduated to get a job in that area. And so some places, like depending how big it is, like that's why it's kind of good with location when you go to school. Like that's when after I got my bachelor's at Valdosta State, I say it's kind of important. It's really important. Not kind of, it's kind of really important. It's like that word, kind of really, kind of really important to go to another school if you plan on getting your master's in a different state, not different state, a different city. I always wanted to stay in state in my situation because unless I was gonna get a lot of financial help from somewhere with sponsors or whatever, I was gonna be out of pocket. But that's why it was in my case better to go to like the surround like Georgia State or somewhere a big city. Well, in Georgia, that is the big city. That is the only city that's really huge, But go to a city that's considered large because the school is going to network with places that are big. Like, for example, I know Georgia State, using them as an example, because that's why I got my master's. They made partnerships with Google. They normally doing stuff like probably got jobs like Amazon, Google, Microsoft. Schools like Kennesaw do that as well too, because it's so nearby to the major city that they're going to go and get jobs like, hey, if you get your bachelor's, master's, some people get their associate's degrees from these places, but if you get your associate's degree, bachelor's, or master's from a KSU, a Georgia State, or any school near that area, your school is usually making partnerships with those jobs. So that's essentially why they want you to, like when you go to a school, they want you to stay there so you can build a workforce. But what a lot of students are doing, I guess what they're doing, they're like, this area, I don't want to be in this city because it's small. So I want to go to a bigger area. Or some might be in a bigger area and want to go to a smaller area because it might be easier to get a job and they don't have to worry about what just happened with Amazon, for example. Let me pull that up right quick. What just happened with Amazon? Let me see. Where is it? Somebody just posted it. Reese, I am on my profile. Oh, they literally just posted it on LinkedIn. Y'all probably can see it. So literally, Lauren Lyles, don't know who this is, but it's somebody on LinkedIn. They made a post, of course, and they was talking. Or I guess they work at Amazon. I'm not sure, or it's Amazon web service person. But it says right here, talk to my friends and colleagues at AWS impacted by the recent layoffs. I'm thinking of you. I know how disoriented this moment can feel, but I also know this. You will find your footing again, and it may lead you somewhere even better than before. A role being eliminated is not a reflection of your performance, value, skills, or potential. You are not alone. There is a wide network of people ready to help. All you have to do is ask. Keep moving forward, put in the work, and don't hesitate to lean on others when you need it. I'm happy to make introductions, share advice, or just chat. Please reach out. So anybody in here, Amazon apparently, take that down. Amazon apparently has laid off 16,000 workers, and some people are speculating that, of course, first thing they say is what's that word they say? AI. And so yeah, Amazon lays off 16,000 employees to streamline operations. Because remember, I talk about that all the time. That's basic econ. That's basic supply and demand. What I mean by that, I said that years ago to high school students. I tell older people too, because when I say older people, grown people like us, when I'm talking amongst peers, let me say that if you make good money for if you make good money for a Fortune 500 company or a really good company, you make a lot of money or good money, you're probably going to be the first one to be cut. Because in basic business, I'm not a business guru, but in basic business, we are an expense. We are an expense is one of the reasons why I love working for state or federal government, It's the same concept, but that takes more time, and they usually, hopefully, give you a heads up. Usually, hopefully. But when you work for a big company, and they're paying you well, like most people say they want to make $100,000, $200,000 a year. Now you have to keep in mind that you have other colleagues making about that same money with you. And so the first thing they're going to look at on that balance sheet, or however they keep their, I'm assuming balance sheet, accounting, CPA, when they look at that stuff, they're looking like, we spend a lot of money on, we have, as I like to say, you have about 50 people making close to six figures at the company in marketing. Now AI can do marketing pretty good or better than you. So do I really need, just an example, do I really need like 16,000 marketing people, for example? And so of course it's divided up. I don't think they'll tell you like what positions they eliminated, I guess. But we are the expense. We are the expense. And then that's why most people go through the finding jobs. And then I guess you rely on your education, but it's kind of just building my case of it don't matter where you go to college. That's just me. That's just me. That kind of builds on my case, because at the end of the day, if they got to cut some people to make their operations run better, because when they did this, Amazon, I think when they did this, Amazon stock should have went up. Actually, let me see. Do I got Amazon? I should have Amazon on here still. Cause no, they stock went down a little bit actually. But when did they do the layoffs? They did the layoffs a day ago. So let me go back a day. Let me see. Yesterday was the 28th when it opened. Yeah, it didn't do much this time around. But potentially in the future, you can see Amazon, if you follow stocks, my stock people out there, that probably will help them boost their stock a little bit. Usually when you have layoffs, which is crazy, their stock on the stock market goes up. So that's interesting, because like I said, I wonder what school these people who got laid off, these 16,000 workers, I wonder what college they went to. That's what you never hear. People think your college makes a big difference and like job safety, and it doesn't. Just another reason why I believe you should start a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year. Just another reason. If you can do the job, you can do the job. If you built for it, you built for it. And then as we keep going, it talks about the death knell right here, that Iowa Central Community College sits in one of the report's educational deserts. It's about an hour and a half drive from the University of Northern Iowa and a 2-hour drive from Bear Cliff. Now, Bear Cliff said something in here that was a little interesting. Let me look them up real quick before I say it, because y'all probably are reading it when you come in and see it. They said something that was really interesting. I want to look them up too. They are in, I believe that's I'll probably Sofa. I don't know how to say that word. City. They are no, Siri, not you. I said city. So Bear Cliff University is a private Franciscan university. Interesting. Never heard that word before. So what they said was, let me tell you what they said. It's interesting. So it's a private 4-year institution. The distance is only a barrier for students in the region, said Jesse, president of Iowa Central, right? Many of them find online programs unappealing. I don't know why people, it's online. It's an online program. I feel like you gotta be really focused to take online classes, but online classes are unappealing and difficult to engage with, he said. And public and private 4-year institutions are often not as affordable as community colleges. He added. Once again, he said public and private 4-year institutions are often not as affordable as community colleges, which is true. You cannot, universities just got to collab. They can't compete with the prices of a 2-year college. And so it says students who leave rural Iowa. Now, remember a couple of live streams ago, y'all, we talked about like what's considered rural. And I thought Valdosta, Georgia was rural for my people in Georgia. But Valdosta is considered a small city. Threw me for a whole loop. I used to always say I was in a rural area. I'm in a small city. So students who leave rural Iowa to study elsewhere contribute to the economic brain drain. Like they said, students who leave the rural area to study elsewhere contribute to the economic to the endemic brain dead. He use some fancy words sometimes, and you could tell I'm not the biggest word person. Endemic, I think it's endemic. Yeah, endemic. So the endemic brain drain, he said. And then, quote, then we have to fight and try to recruit them back several years down the road to come back to our region and serve our communities. That's what I was talking about when they said they need you to come back and work in the community. So it's a job opportunity for people, I guess, who do. They go and recruit and come back. But what's his name? Okay, yeah. Jesse View. Iowa Central isn't competing with four-year institutions for future business majors or nursing students, two of the fields that community colleges are likely to pursue. He said it's competing with nothing. Two-thirds of our students who say who are going to go on from an associate's degree and transfer to a four-year university do not, he said. That is a population that isn't going to them. Now, the reason, as I always talk about, students are not going to transfer. Well, students going to transfer, but I know why the problem happens. Like I said, it's complicated. That's why I always recommend the students, like, hey, you need to know what university you go to, because when that university you want to go to most likely has a 2-year college close to it, or they have an agreement in some form or fashion. I don't know what Iowa has going on because I know some of these schools got to be close, but it seems like Iowa has a lot of community colleges in the desert. That's what it seemed like from reading on the outside. I never been to Iowa, but schools got to learn how to make these partnerships a lot stronger and better. Because if you tell a student, oh, we don't know your credit's going to transfer over, the students at this point nowadays be like, I'll just leave it there in the void, essentially. Once again, it's kind of like you got to meet the students halfway. And then where that part at? Right there. Fast forwarding. It was a rural state like Iowa, especially. No. No. Let me see. All right, this is the part. So right here it said that Matthew J. Drug caused the notion for educational deserts in Iowa. Spurious. These words just get more complicated. As president of Cliff University, he still has open seats in career programs like nursing. Having open seats in career programs like nursing is not a good sign. It's interesting. It's not a good sign. But he also argued right here that his private institution can be more affordable as a community college. That is cap. Private institution. That's what was interesting to me. He says institution can be more affordable than a community college. I don't agree. It said the sticker price for the tuition at Cliff is $35,000 a year. And that's usually what we do when we go research the school. We actually go on the school website and I actually go get the sticker price, because usually the sticker price could be off, because I think with the sticker price, I think they factor in like I say, if you're gonna get a meal plan, stay on campus, get a meal plan, or get a dorm, stay in the dorms. I believe that's what they factor in. Then they say, but with the institutional financial aid, the average student pays $12,000 a year. $12,000 a year, because they said when they do $12,000, 35 a year. So $12,000 a year, that's still $6,000 per semester. So your financial aid is already, as I said before, I say 7,000, it's 7,000 something, but your financial aid is $7,000 if you get the most of it, and that's $3,500 per semester. So you still need about another $3,000 to go to the school. This is what I be talking about. I don't know. I get it. I personally get it. Like the value, they understand the value of a dollar a lot different from the students who are going to college, who they're trying to get, the students that they are trying to get. And so with the way the word is going, or in America, the way America is going, it's not adding up, because I heard our own past presidents say that we're in an oligarchy, which is all the money's at the top, and the bottom people pretty much, it's hard to like go to school, Medicaid, not Medicaid, but like medical, anything medical, health related, grocery shopping and stuff, all this stuff I've been hearing. And so obviously it's like, is that going to hurt people going to college? Just theoretical thinking, but I did hear like past presidents say oligarchy. And so, but I'm like, higher education is an oligarchy in itself. Like, come on now. Higher education is an oligarchy in itself, because all the money is at the top. Presidents, execs, deans, VPs, college coaches making millions. So like, if we get technical and layered about that, that's a whole oligarchy right there. All the money is at the top. And the people who do the day-to-day work, not saying everybody on the day-to-day work got to get paid or outrageous dollars, but it's doable to pay them a fair match in the economy. It's very doable. But that's not my problem. That is above my pay grade. And so, yeah, $12,000 is still a lot of money per year. When you can go to a community college and your tuition for the year is probably $3,000 for the year, which is $1,500 per semester. And you can get that for 2 to 3 years at a community college. I did 3 years at my community college. So I did a year and a half when I transferred, making it 4.5 or 4.5. So I didn't agree with that. Because I'm pretty sure if we went on the school website and saw that, we would have saw that. So then you scroll down. I think they had a question at the end. They didn't have a question. That's pretty much it. Like I said, a little jargon. We spent almost an hour on that. That was a good little breakdown, though. And some good little information and researching. And that's pretty much it on that. Wait, close that out. Close that out. We don't need that either. Gotta keep them tabs closed. And so the next one is about the tuition freeze, but it's not that long though. It is not that long at all. Like Dre say, for real. It's not that long. So, okay. So this is about, not you. This is about the tuition guarantee. In-state tuition at public universities would be frozen for each incoming cohort of undergraduates starting in 2027. So if you are enrolling in 2027, if you stay in the Iowa area, they're saying the tuition could be freezing starting in 2027, which is very helpful. Tuition freeze actually help out a lot. And then they said freeze tuition at state universities. So community colleges, like I said, they got good prices at Iowa. But the universities very much needed. So we're gonna get into this real quick. This was written by Brooklyn Drazy, I believe. And then it's very recent. So it says right here, this is my first time reading this as well with y'all. An Iowa Senate panel gave initial approval Monday to legislation freezing tuition for students heading to state universities starting in 2027. Wow. So I wonder, is that 2027 spring or fall? Probably will be fall. It says Senate File 2002 would freeze tuition for resident students entering their first year at a public university, ensuring their payments won't go up in the following years. If passed, it hasn't been passed yet, but if passed, the legislation will go into effect for students starting their first year of college during or after 2027. So here we go. Senator Jesse Green. I believe that's R for Republican or representative. Boone Bone, depending how they pronounce it. And he said was joined by Senator Herman Quirkumbeck. Some interesting names. But it sounds like an interesting idea, but there are a host of problems with implementing it. Quirkumbeck said it may actually wind up costing people more. Huh. What do you mean, Senator? Because I believe he's a Senator Herman. I'm calling him Senator Herman. I knew a Herman once. It was like a bill signed into law last year by Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds required the Iowa Board of Regents explore. Is it Regents or Regents? I think I said Regents right. I think it's Regents. Somebody got me last time. There was like Regents. I was like, I think it's Regents, ain't it? Let's see. I think it's Regents. Yeah, Regents. I was saying it right. That's not I was saying it wrong. Regents explore potential tuition freezes at Iowa public universities. The board completed its study and submitted a report on its findings in November. Okay. According to the report, tuition rate guarantees come with both benefits to students and families and risks for the institutions, mainly revenue erosion. I've been saying that word a lot lately. Erosion. Mainly revenue erosion. So, what is revenue erosion? It sounds like revenue is going to slow up, but let me Google. So, revenue erosion, should I say business? Revenue erosion is a sustained long-term decline. I know it had to be something like over time because erosion in your car, when you get erosion on your battery. So, erosion sustained long-term decline in company sales, profits, or asset value, rather than a temporary one-time loss. Rather than a temporary one-time loss. Yeah, it's consistently going down. So mainly revenue erosion and the potential of the budget shortfalls and limited ability to provide financial aid and support services to those who need it. It's crazy that universities simply can't afford to give students a tuition freeze for a year. I don't know how long they plan to do this tuition freeze, but it's like, bro, we pay so much for college presidents. We pay so much for execs, VPs, and all these natures, right? Chancellors and stuff. I say football coach or sports coaches, sport head coaches in sports, college football and stuff. But it's you can't really just do a tuition freeze because your revenue is gonna hurt that bad. Like, I don't know. Universities have terrible. I don't like. I'm not a business guru, but something ain't right, man. Some just don't make sense. And if it don't make sense, your data got to be flawed or something got to be wrong. That's why, like I said, we don't go heavily off data. We use the data sometimes, but the way to save money in college, you can't go off the data solely because there's still, like I said, our Higher Education Act has not been updated since 2007 or 2008, whichever one it is. It has not been updated since then. And I don't think it's ever going to be updated again until somebody really just pays attention and say, we should really make some adjustments to this. I think they're doing a little too much talking like me right now, nowadays, when they should be trying to fix that or make it because a little up to date. It's just out of date. Because, like I said, university prices, let's not forget the main reason we started this channel. University prices are up here past the camera, off the charts, and people are still going toward there and buying. It's just like stock market. I'm not paying those prices at the universities out the gate. I think that's a terrible purchasing decision. With everything going on as well, universities can't even say what they want to say. Just a lot of craziness going on at universities right now. I just rather go to a 2-year, less commotion, less political drama. My classes are affordable. My teacher can focus on me, and I just get 2 years of saving money, 2 to 3 years. 2 years to chill out, 2 to 3 years. Nobody knows. Like I said, you can still be at a 2-year college and making friends, conversations, and with people at universities. Just because you're at a 2-year college does not mean you can't go to a public college, public university, and use their library, join, organization if they offer, like, hey, as long as you're in college, you could join an organization. It's just, I don't think we think about those things at all until it's the last second, speaking from experience. So as we keep going, it says members of the board of regents agreed to hold back on implementing any new tuition programs until they could see the results of a cap on tuition increase. A cap on tuition increases they previously approved that limits tuition increases to no more than the 3-year rolling average, okay, of the higher education price index inflation rate. Ooh, what's that? I think I found me another little tool. See, I just be finding all kinds of stuff when I read. Let me see. The higher education price index for fiscal year 2025 rose by 3.6%, marking an increase from the 3.4 reported in fiscal year 2024. Where do you get that at? I think I already got it saved. The comment found. I think I already got this saved. A bookmark. That's interesting. Let me see. No, I did not save this. I'm gonna save it now. That's interesting. So they said they paid. So I didn't even know we had a higher education price index. Did anybody know that? Did anybody know that we have a higher education price index? Because apparently this, according to AI Overview, this rate remains elevated compared to the 2010 through 2019 average of 2.2%, with significant drivers including a 4.3 increase in faculty salaries and a 4.8 rise in administrative salaries. That's interesting. So that's breaking down the economic data for my people out there who want to look at the data. Like I said, admin salaries rising. Who else they said? Faculty salaries are rising. So that's very interesting. Definitely gonna learn how to use that. And then, excuse me, Jillian Carson, if I said that right, a state relations officer for the Board of Regents, cited the studying during the subcommittee meeting, saying each state university has significantly lowered tuition costs than, what? State relations officer for the Board of Regents cited the study during the subcommittee meeting, okay, saying each state university has significantly lower tuition costs than their peer groups averages. Many institutions that have implemented tuition freezes have since ended those programs, she said, when economic downturns occur and state support shrinks. That is true. When you don't get much state support, it puts a lot of strain on institutions, which just makes me wonder, though, how much money depending on the school, I ain't gonna say it, but I do be wondering where that money goes from. Does it go straight to the NCAA? I'm just wondering. Does it go to the NCAA? Who does it go to? But right here it says, if universities cannot raise tuition but still need to balance their budget, Senator Herman said they would have to front load charges, making tuition for first-year students higher than it would be otherwise, but not increasing it during their undergraduate education. However, for students who drop out after 1 or 2 years, he said they be saddled with more debt, but without the degree to help pay it back. And that's the common thing about that. Raising the price, getting stuck with the debt, and then you got no degree. So you're relying on the trade then, right? But the thing about it, everybody's just picking colleges they cannot afford. That is what we're going through. People pick colleges they can't afford because from when I was coming up, going to college and just hearing people, seeing parents go pick schools saying, yeah, we're just looking at, Georgia Tech, UGA. I'm just naming Georgia schools, like very top notch schools. They just look at those schools. We're just looking at like universities. Why? Even though the money is going to possibly be a problem, they're just looking at universities. And I really don't have a definite answer on that. Definitely was a class discussion because my whole class was like higher ed professionals or people trying to step into higher ed. It was a interesting question because, which I wish I had the higher ed people in here now, but it's an interesting, like, I hope I have no comments because I definitely have my comments closed. It's an interesting, like, topic of discussion. Why do people feel they just have to go to a university out the gate versus going to a 2-year? Like, I think it'd be dope to see a valedictorian out of a high school, of course, salutatorian, top, or a high GPA students choose a 2-year, then bridge to a 4-year. But most of the time when you're that high up, you're going to get all kinds of scholarships because you're valedictorian, salutatorian, which makes sense. But the people who are right behind them, because I've seen people who were top tier at high schools, they didn't get anything because they wasn't number one, number two. So yeah, it's I don't know, it just jumpstart your life. You just need to start at a 2-year. And in today's time, like I say, your car is hard. It's hard to get a used car nowadays. It's medical is crazy, right? College, I hear people say college prices are crazy. Everything is just high. So if you're trying to get something affordable, like an education too, an affordable education, you definitely should be considering starting at a 2-year college. I'm gonna say it and I'm gonna stand on it. You should do it. You should do it. You should really do it. And then I guess that's pretty much it. Them talking about that. And so I'm gonna read this quote right here. He said, I think Senator Herman, again, I think if we want to give our families a predictable path for paying for college, we have got to keep up our end of the deal and maintain constant support. That's all it is at the end of the day. But we'll go into that, which leads to the next conversation. With Nicholas Kent. It's like two of them. Actually. I would keep this up. It's two. And I wish I'm not going to tell you no story. So recently, who? So the U.S. Department of Education. This is what I wanted to talk about Monday, but we had got deeper to the content, and I was like, I really want to do a college review this week. But the U.S. Department of Education negotiated the United States U.S. Department of Education is negotiated rulemaking to reform and strengthen America's higher education accreditation system. Now, the reason that I'm talking about that is because it's been ongoing about this accreditation. For the life of me, I've been trying to make sure they were talking about it's only one type of accreditation, but the way my mind works, please tell me you're talking about the accreditation of like my school is accredited. Now it was interesting again because they got into details about how accreditation is the reason why students are, I believe, pulling out student loans, if I'm not mistaken. Now let me go find that, because the whole ordeal of it was just, it's an interesting take, interesting perspective. Let me go get it because I've definitely saved it on good old LinkedIn. They post everything on LinkedIn. It's not that one. It's this one. Yeah. Because the post was engaging in itself. So, all right, right here. So you see right here, posted by United States Department of Education. It said right here that the college accreditation should work for students, not the system. Who you talking about? Now I'm curious. Are you talking about the colleges? Are you talking about college accreditation should work for the students, not the system. The accreditation, innovation, and modernization the AIM negotiated rulemaking committee will cut red tape, reduce outside influence, and focus on real student outcomes like graduation and job success. Now, I'm going to say this. People get caught up in what is that called? The Republican and Democrat, red and blue and stuff. They are right. I don't know what it has to do with accreditation. That's what we're about to find out. But they are right as far as that, because so many students graduate and can't get jobs. It's like really happening now. It's like, even like I said before in the live screen, older people are even saying like, some older people are saying like, y'all just got to work hard enough. And some are saying like, hey, I ain't gonna lie, I don't know why it's so difficult for y'all to get jobs. And I ain't gonna lie, nowadays we gotta do 3 or 4 interviews just to hopefully get a job, which is ridiculous. If you don't know after the first interview if you want a person, like, you don't need to get them. One interview should be enough. But that's just me for my interviews, guys. Oh my gosh, I did so many interviews. I think I did so many interviews. I can give advice on interviews. That's how many interviews I did. And so right here, the U.S. Department of Education announces negotiated rulemaking to reform and strengthen America's higher education accreditation system. So I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I'm trying to figure it out too. Because how does accreditation, what that has to do with students not having graduation, or, well, I could see graduation because credit's not transferring over, making students repeat courses because the school could possibly just want more money and help go toward their revenue. But what's the other part? They said job success. I'm really trying to figure out what that has to do with job success, though, the accreditation. So as we read, today the U.S. Department of Education, or parentheses, the department, today announced its intent to establish the Accreditation Innovation, or AIM, negotiated rulemaking committee to develop proposed regulations that would, among other groups, simplify the secretary's recognition of emerging and existing accreditors. Your secretary, well, I think he's the undersecretary. Yeah, undersecretary, Nicholas Kent. Recognition of emerging and existing accreditors. Examine the extent to which accreditation contributes to rising higher education costs. See, they said that accreditation is the reason why they're saying theoretically that accreditation contributes to the rise in higher education costs. This is interesting. This is literally up our lane. And so, and credential inflation. Safeguard against undue influence from related private trade associations. Eliminate standards or policies that discriminate on the basis of immutable characteristics, and refocus quality assurance and improvement on data-driven student outcomes. The AIM committee will advance President Trump's vision to reform and strengthen the nation's higher education accreditation system, as outlined in the Executive Order 14279 or 14279, however they say it. Reforming accreditation to strengthen higher education. Now, we talked about that probably a little bit back when the One Big Beautiful Bill was coming in. They threw a lot of stuff in that One Big Beautiful Bill, man. They threw a lot of stuff in there. They threw so much stuff in there. I don't think it was funny. And so it says, since taking office 1 year ago, the Trump administration has worked to reform the brokered accreditation system by ending the moratorium. I had to get that right. Sorry, Beer Cliff University. Actually, we're gonna review y'all. Let's just open up another one. The fact that you don't have a pronunciation for this word says everything I need to know. Like and subscribe. Huh? Yeah, moratorium. I got that right. But what that means though. So by ending the moratorium on new accreditors put in place by the Biden administration and making it easier for colleges and universities to change accreditors to those which better align with their mission and values. Oh, wow. The Trump administration has also announced its intent to rewrite the accreditation handbook. The department's rulemaking to revise federal regulations governing accreditation will build on and expand this important work. We talked about this a little bit. If a school can change its accreditation, that if they talking about accreditation, I think they talking about changing how that will look if you're trying to transfer to schools. But it says right here, accreditation functions as the central nervous system of higher education. And the system cannot be made healthy without addressing the deepest flaws, said Under Secretary of Education, Nicholas Kent. I think he the real person with the moves. I feel like he's like the VP really next to literally Linda, because he's the undersecretary. He's under the secretary. So I feel like he's like more operating, carrying out everything, making things happen. And so Nicholas Kent, rather than focusing on whether member institutions offer high quality programs that benefit students and the workforce, the current accreditation regime has become a protectionist system that shields existing players, fuels rising costs, drives credential inflation, adds administrative bloat, allows undue influence from related trade associations, and promotes ideologically driven initiatives. We welcome nominations from key stakeholders willing to challenge the status quo to help reform this unhealthy system, restore accountability, and ensure our higher education institutions deliver high quality post secondary education. So I'm really trying to get to the root of this. Like, I'm really trying to figure this out myself because, once again, they're saying accreditation, they're saying it's driving up the cost of college, rising. Like, it's interesting, right? So the AIM committee will address the following topics: deregulation, student outcomes, merit, integrity. So the AIM is like it's like a task force essentially. And then it's pretty much it. It's at the deadline to submit nominations. So they're gonna hold like nominations. They're gonna hold the event in DC, of course, at the building, at the Department of Education building. But it's still a little vague to me, right? It's still a little like, even I'm trying to figure it out a little bit, right? Like, what is going on? So here, hopefully the Inside Higher Ed can help us, right? So it's probably not called Chia, but Chia, probably gonna have the conference name in the once I get into the paragraph. But at Chia, Kent blames accreditors for higher ed woes. He said right here, the education undersecretary argued that accreditors have largely failed to hold colleges accountable and pledged to make reforms. So, and this is my first time learning about this too. What is this called? I believe, Council for Higher Education Accreditation. It's a council for everything. It's so much information higher ed, guys. Like I said, my grad program, man, I probably had to get a PhD, a doctoral if I did, because there's just so many like councils on this, councils on that, councils on this. Like, oh my goodness. Like all these acronyms and stuff. CHEA, maybe like the ACA. I'm like, hey, I need a dictionary. So it said on the campaign trail, President Donald Trump called accreditation his secret weapon. Now, a year into his second term, education under secretary education under education under Secretary Nicholas Kent is one of the wielding that weapon. He's wielding it. And in year one, the Trump administration sought to stamp out diversity or DEI, as we know, as part of the accreditation standards, and steered money toward new market entrants. So part of accreditation, you couldn't have DEI or you wasn't going to get certain funding. So, but in year two, the federal government appears poised to ramp up its efforts to overhaul accreditation by rewriting current regulations. Let's see what that takes us to. It's probably going to take us to another article. Let's see. And then we'll probably come back to that because I don't think it's really what we need. It says by rewriting current regulations this spring, announced Monday. On Tuesday, Kent offered more insights into what lies ahead in remarks at the Council for Higher Education Accreditation's annual conference held in Washington, D.C. Has previously accused accreditors of failing to hold failing institutions accountable for poor student outcomes. Now, that is something I can agree on. A lot of universities, probably not gonna like me for agreeing with it, but a lot of universities, or as I believe everything has been toward universities, but accreditors accused accreditors of failing to hold failing institutions accountable for poor student outcomes and cast such agency as a tool for political and ideological enforcement. And he repeated those themes Tuesday as he laid out plans for the upcoming accreditation overhaul. Calls for reform. In a 35 plus minute speech at Chia, Kent cast accreditation as fundamentally broken. He says, I want to start by saying a bold and uncomfortable truth. Accreditation today is no longer a reliable indicator of the gold standard of education. Now, please break this down to me like I'm a fifth grader or a fourth grader or a kid. So he says, or like a 5-year-old, they say. His rhetoric carried similar refrains to past comments as he rallied against what he called the accreditation industrial complex. He argued that such agencies have become a monopoly, particularly at the programmatic level, and that they have not lived up to their responsibility. He also accused them of colluding to block new entrants from the market. Interesting. Throughout his remarks, he emphasized the need for a strong return on investment for students. That is also true. He's literally saying everything we complain about, but I'm trying to figure out what it has to do with accreditations. And guys, we're figuring this out as we go. Because I'm still like even when I read articles, it just like you're saying accreditation, but it was never a clear like we're talking about this accreditation or this is what we're talking about. And so Kent also attributed the plunging public approval of higher education to poor student outcomes, for which he blamed accreditors and their failure to hold colleges accountable. He argued that failures by accrediting bodies necessitated overdue reforms. In quotation, to make the system more accountable, more competitive, and more merit-based for students, families, and American taxpayer. The undersecretary said the Department of Education plans to negotiate on a wide range of topics during the upcoming rulemaking session in order to both simplify and strengthen accreditation. Priorities will include reducing the regulatory burden for accreditors, streamlining the recognition process, putting greater emphasis on student outcomes, and stamping out anti-competitive behaviors. And anti-competitive behaviors, I believe, is a fancy word for being competitive. I kid you not. Anti-competitive behavior consists of actions by firms such as price fixing, monopolies, or exclusive dealing, designed to restrict market competition, eliminate rivals, and boost profits. So, kind of like, I'm gonna be honest, it sounds like when they raise the tuition on you guys. That's exactly what it sounds like, but that's what he said. Anti-competitive behavior, anti-competitive behaviors. Hold on. Gotta plug this computer up. Like and subscribe. All right. We cooking though. Interesting. It says Kent ultimately invited accreditors to join in reform efforts Kent ultimately invited accreditors to join in reform efforts or prepare to be left behind. So I know we didn't make it through this that fast. We hope many of you will begin making these changes, understanding that the winds of reform are shifting and change is on the move. He said, we want to work with you all to move forward together. As someone once told me, it's better to be at the table than on the menu. And trust me, we much rather have you grabbing a seat than getting served. While Kent blasted the status quo, he also applauded some accreditors for recent changes. Okay. The undersecretary credited new leadership at the Southern Association. So we are talking about that accreditation. My goodness, I just had to make sure. So he's pointing out the Southern Association of Accreditation Schools, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges for implementing major policy updates that streamline processes without adding new compliance burden and approving a 90-hour bachelor's degree. A 90-hour bachelor's degree? Okay. All right. Most degrees, I know it might be a little nerdy. Most bachelor degrees are 120 credit hours. So they cut out significantly. That's 30 credit hours they just cut out. If I had did the math that quick. Let me see. 120 minus 30. Yeah. That's 30 extra credit hours you don't need. And I wonder what that indicates. Dang, I'm curious now. Kent also nodded to actions at the Higher Learning Commission in endorsing a new framework for short-term credential programs, recent return on investment focused work by accrediting commission for community and junior colleges, and the WASC Senior College and University Commission for dropping what he referred to as the divisive DEI standards from accreditation criteria last fall. Hold on right quick. Let me see this. Southern Association of Colleges School Commission on Colleges. Yeah, we definitely finna look this up. We gotta look this up. 90 hour. I'm gonna just try that. Not interested right now, guys. So it said right here that what we just said, Southern Association, that right there, SACSCOC now approves reduced credit undergraduate degree programs, often termed 3-year or 90 to 100 semester hour programs, as a faster alternative pathway to the traditional 120-hour bachelorette degree. Yo, that's game changer. That's game changer. Huh. Hold on, Ma. I'll call you back. Should have picked up. No one cool. I'll call it back though. So is it any? Well, I guess it's in this because it took us right back to the Inside Higher Ed. All right, let's go back to it. He said he nodded that he also told accreditors that his door is always open and encouraged them to share the changes they are undertaking as the education department begins its overhaul efforts. So petty. Accreditors respond. Kent's comments lingered at the CHEA conference. I keep calling it CHEA, but CHEA conference. Long after he left the room, speakers both agree and disagree with him in panels as they grappled, but subsequent panels, if I said it right, as they grapple with his statements. Heather Perfetti, president of the Middle States Commission on Higher Education and chair of the Council of Recognized Accreditation Commissions, noted there was room for common ground with education department. She said accreditors agree, or she said accreditors, quotations, agree that we all should operate with integrity, accountability, and transparency, themes that Kent emphasized in his speech. She also credited Kent for highlighting various initiatives, which she said show he is listening and learning. His door is open and he wants to hear from us, Perfetti said. Some stress the need for accreditors to remain independent amid fierce political winds. Accreditation should not become a policeman in opposing a particular ideology, any ideology. Doesn't matter what ideology it is, argued Sonny Ramsamy. That name sounds very familiar. Ramsamy, I believe I said that right, who served as president of the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities from 2018 through early 2025. Others expressed a desire for a more civil partnership with the education department. If we are going to be partners with the Department of Education, if they want to have meaningful, thoughtful dialogue with us. Could we ask that they stop calling us names, calling us a cartel or a monopoly? Said Leah Matthews, Executive Director and CEO of the Distant Education Accreditation Commission. So that was interesting. I'm gonna be honest. That was much needed. That was much needed because literally so if your college is under a certain accreditation, the only reason I know that accreditation, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission, because that's literally the accreditation I believe my 2-year and 4-year and my graduate degree falls under. But if they're really saying that you can, like, they said it's a new initiative now that you can get a 90-hour bachelor's degree. Overrated. Let me see if it's in here. I just clicked on this. Nah, ain't no 90 in here. But if you can really get a 90-hour, I haven't seen anything with details on that. But if you really can get a 90-hour bachelor's degree, that is game changing. I don't know if it's gonna be for high demand programs only, because that's gonna cut a lot of, I ain't gonna lie, 30 credit hours, yo. That's at least, like, if you take 12 credit hours, that's 2 semesters of revenue gone from a university easily. And you gotta think about all the students. That's easily 2 semesters of revenue gone. And a summer semester. Cause I know I took summer classes. Cause I like to do 12 summer. Yo. Hey. They gonna listen one day. So he's planning on changing a lot. Hopefully, will we get the articles? That's the real question. Will we get the articles of that? But that's pretty much. Oh, we're supposed to talk about the Gates Foundation. Gates Foundation. We at 132. We covered a lot. Very informational. Very interesting. So I will stop there. Can y'all see me? Oh, my camera is smushed up. So, hang on. Yeah, it looks like it's not focusing a little bit. Typical camera. So that's pretty much. I want to talk, but I can say that for tomorrow. The Bill Gates AI courseware. That's gonna be interesting itself. So we cover accreditation, community college bachelor degrees, tuition freezes. Pretty much we cover Iowa. So if you from Iowa, this really was, I feel like, insightful for you. Might be a little, I don't want to hear you talk for all that time. That's why I'm stopping at an hour and 35 minutes. Because we're trying to get our views up. And we don't want to just be, how can I say, talking and people are like, what are you talking about? So Iowa personally got a lot of love today. And then they're considering to do community college bachelor degrees, tuition freezes. And so they're worried if they do a tuition freeze that the ones after them will have to foot the bill, which is even more curious, right? If you're in that area. And then accreditation. Accreditation is so important because they're talking about accreditation. So if this accreditation, let me come up some. If this accreditation actually happens and they start changing a lot of things with the accreditation, for example, that can make it hard for us to transfer. It might get us stuck because some schools are part of these accreditations. If they allow, I don't know how this is about to go, but if they allow universities, community colleges, whoever, to be changing their accreditation, things about to get crazy. And then, like they said, they're independent. A lot of these places are independent. They're nonpartisan. So Department of Education has to work with them essentially versus, or he said, like they said, or we can just serve you up. He said, you can be on the menu if you don't collaborate with us. So interesting because they don't make videos and interviews that I really haven't been finding yet. So I have to read. We have to read and go through this stuff. But we had 1 hour 35. I appreciate everybody who stopped by. We will be on tomorrow. Have some more topics to talk about. Higher education is always something going on. Slow progress, but progress, as I like to say. And we will see you tomorrow. And play this in bits. You don't have just an hour to sit here and listen to this. Play this in bits. Peace, chicken grease, and I will see you all tomorrow.